One thing that affects all of us that can hurt us in communication and render our communication ineffective is when we're trying to communicate while, this is the first one, while we're multitasking. What you discover with that is sometimes somebody is talking to you or you're talking to somebody else. But in the middle of the communication, if you're not really engaged because you're doing a whole lot of other things. There's some fellas in this house right now who can testify when the wife was talking to you and you were watching the summer league basketball, trying to see if Alonzo Ball and the Lakers were going to beat Jason Tatum and the Boston Celtics. And she had a whole lot of words to give you for the weekend, your honey-do list for today. And you heard the first 2 or 3 words, but the rest of it was like it was running together because really she was talking and you weren't paying attention. Because we have a tendency to listen to what we want to listen to, and some of us talk and we're on the phone. And so what happens if you're engaging somebody and you're really not locked in to that moment to really hear, then what will happen is that communication will be rendered ineffective. Sometimes you have to find an opportunity. And then there's another thing, that if you're not in a position or a space to talk mentally, because other things that you're trying to get accomplished, it's best then to just say, let me clear my mind. Let me make sure everything's free first and I'm finished when I'm finished, so that then I can begin that communication. Nothing is more troubling to have communication and that person really is not engaged in you. Sometimes we think we can listen, we can do multiple things, and sometimes it can be disrespectful when you're engaging in a conversation and unintentionally you're doing other things and not being fully engaged in that moment. And if you know that's you, if you know you get perturbed and those types of things are happening, then what you should do at that moment is stop, to no longer waste your time in conversation if you're not sure that person is truly engaging you in conversation. The other thing that is a barrier in conversation is this whole issue of authenticity. That's the A, authenticity. What do I mean by that? Many of us mess up in communication under the auspices of I'm just being authentic or I'm just being myself. And this is just who I am. And so when I respond or I initiate a conversation, that what you get is what you get because of who I am. I'm not responsible for what comes out of my mouth. I'm not responsible for how I say it, because what I said and how I said it, it's just who I am. And then we love to hide under this auspice, I'm just keeping it real. Well, I want to say to you, keeping it real does not give you an excuse to be rude. There's a difference between keeping it real and you can be direct but not destructive. And so just because you're keeping it real and just who you are, I'm just going to tell them the truth, honey. This is who I am. Take it or leave. And what happens because of all of the shenanigans and all the other urban Afrocentric idiosyncrasies, what happens is you can put up a wedge in that communication because the person doesn't want to talk to you. They want to put a knuckle sandwich right on your nose. Amen? And so we've got to learn that just because you say you're being authentic, and being authentic, you're still responsible for the affirmation that comes as a result of that conversation. So stop using I'm just being real as an excuse to go off on people or respond in a way that may be negative and not the most positive, because so many people, in the name of keeping it real, bring about things that are really counterproductive to this whole issue of effective communication. If that's you, somebody say amen. T, there's another thing that's ineffective. I know there were more people than that in this place that said, tell the truth, shame the devil.